In the dense forests of Alaska, animals were being treated so cruelly that they had begun to think like dangerous humans. Any hunter who entered the forest never made it out alive. The story begins with a wide view of Alaska's massive wilderness, so vast that it was home to many different species. Many scientists and researchers often visited for studies and discoveries. But suddenly, we see two young men deep inside the forest carrying rifles, clearly there for hunting. One was named Beckett and the other Robin. The two brothers were walking deeper when something suddenly attacked Robin. It was an unknown creature with a massive body. Robin was badly injured, so his brother Beckett quickly drew his gun and started firing at the dangerous animal. The scene then cuts, showing Robin all grown up, lost in memories of his childhood. After many years, he is now returning to his hometown, filled with memories he can't let go of. While traveling, Robin meets a woman who drives him to his hotel. During the ride, she tells him about her husband, John, who has been missing in the forest for several days. She's afraid something terrible might have happened to him. She offers Robin money to help find John, and Robin agrees. He gathers some equipment to begin the search, knowing the forest better than anyone, every path, every species, and every danger. Back in his room, he prepares his rifles and hunting gear, clearly aware of the risk ahead. Meanwhile, deep inside the forest, several men are shown brutally killing bears and cutting their bodies apart. It was illegal, forbidden by the government, yet still done secretly. Among those hunters was John, the very husband the woman was searching for. John was now telling his fellow hunters that they shouldn't kill bears with families, especially those with young cubs. That could easily enrage the bears' families. Those creatures were already dangerous, but this would only make them more violent. John's two fellow hunters didn't care, though. They weren't bothered by any of it, they just wanted to hunt and sell the bears on the black market. John refused to go along with their plan and told them he was leaving. But as soon as he started to walk away, a gunshot rang out from behind. His own partners had shot him. They didn't want him running to the police and exposing their crimes. Severely wounded, John collapsed to the ground. Suddenly, the forest echoed with a deep growl. It was a grizzly bear. The hunters realized the dangerous animal was nearby. One of them raised his gun to shoot it, but before he could fire, John, barely alive, came up from behind and killed him. At that same moment, a massive bear smashed through the door of their cabin. It was a female, likely defending her cub. She was enormous, far larger and more terrifying than any normal bear. In an instant, she attacked the remaining hunter, ripping him apart. John witnessed the brutal scene, just as he had feared, and quickly fled for his life. The story then cuts to Robin, now seen in a nightclub, drinking. There, he meets a woman who seems interested in getting close to him. They talk for a while, and Robin takes her back to his hotel room. But after spending some time together, she starts asking him for money, revealing that she's actually a prostitute. Shocked and disappointed, Robin immediately tells her to leave. Later, the woman meets her dealer, who begins beating her for not bringing him his share of the money. Robin sees this happening through a window and can't just stand by. He rushes to confront the dealer and fights him to protect her. The brawl turns violent, but Robin proves to be the stronger one. He even breaks the man's nose. Unfortunately, police officers soon arrive and arrest Robin. When he turns around, he's stunned to see that one of the officers is his brother, Beckett. After so many years apart, both brothers are shocked to see each other again. Their superior, the sheriff, soon arrives and orders the dealer's arrest, demanding a harsh punishment. Beckett, however, is furious with Robin, who had vanished years ago, and now the truth comes out. Robin had once committed a murder. Because of all this, Robin had served time in prison and had only recently been released. Beckett had always hated this side of him, that's why he had distanced himself years ago. But now, after all this time, the two brothers were reunited again in their old hometown. Still, one thing was certain, destiny couldn't be changed. Everyone living in that area was about to face something terrifying. Beckett brought Robin home so he could stay for a few days. He first told him that he was now married to a beautiful woman named Michelle, an animal lover who had dedicated her life to protecting wildlife. Michelle often stayed deep in the forest to care for animals and document their behavior. Years ago, both Beckett and Robin were hunters, but Beckett had given it up and become a sheriff instead. Even after explaining all this, Beckett still asked his brother why he had really come back. Robin seemed to be hiding something, but instead of telling the truth, he lied and said he only wanted to visit their father's favorite spot in the forest to pay tribute to him. It was the place they both used to visit as kids. For a moment, Beckett believed his brother and allowed him to stay. That same night, deep in the forest, two men were cutting down trees with chainsaws, accompanied by a fierce-looking pit bull. As they worked, they heard rustling from the nearby bushes but ignored it. One of the men moved behind a tree with his chainsaw when suddenly a strange noise came from that direction. The dog began barking furiously, alarming the first man. He called out to his partner, but there was no reply. After calling again and again, the barking grew more aggressive. The dog had definitely seen something. Concerned, the man went behind the tree to check and froze in horror. His friend's severed hand lay next to the chainsaw. His body was completely torn apart. Terrified, he looked around, but before he could react, a massive shadow lunged at him. It was revealed to be an enormous bear, twice the size of a normal one. The creature attacked so fast the man had no chance to defend himself, killing him instantly. Blood soaked the forest floor, and the area looked like a battlefield, bodies scattered everywhere. The next morning, we see Beckett's wife, Michelle, continuing her routine, taking photographs of animals and watching over them deep in the forest, unaware of the horror lurking nearby. Beckett dropped Robin off nearby and warned him not to have other plans, but Robin had hidden motives. After Beckett left, Robin cleared some brush and discovered an old car, the reason for which would soon become clear. Beckett and a senior officer rushed to the logging site. A team member told them the killings looked like the work of a bear, but not a normal one. The tracks and size were unlike any known species, it wasn't collared or tagged by the government, and he urged they hunt and kill it before it became a greater threat. Beckett opposed killing any animal under his command and, with the senior officer's support, decided they needed to resolve the situation calmly and protect both animals and people. Beckett then chose to go find his wife and brother first. The senior officer backed him and sent Kelly, a team member who had quietly liked Beckett for years, to help. She would join the search. Before heading into the forest, Beckett and Kelly packed gear for non-lethal defense and animal control, bear repellent spray and weapons meant to stun rather than kill. Meanwhile, Michelle set small snares and traps to capture animals for study, trying to ensure their safety, when she heard something and realized a bear was approaching. Terrified, she tried to back away quietly. Bears hate noise, but she'd accidentally stepped into one of her own traps and was stuck, helpless, while a giant bear 5 times her size closed in. Robin arrived with a rifle and began firing to drive the bear off. The shots worked and he saved Michelle, who he recognized from a photo in Beckett's house. Robin explained he was Beckett's brother, and the truth came out. Michelle was deaf and communicated only through sign language, which stunned Robin, but he focused on helping her. Back at headquarters, the aged senior sheriff went to speak with a member nicknamed Duck and insisted that if the bear was truly that dangerous it would have to be killed despite Beckett's objections. The safety of the people came first. Duck noted the bear's aggression had no usual explanation. The way it killed people was unprecedented. During this discussion, a female officer in the forest reported over the radio that she'd found an old car belonging to John and that they could investigate further, but before she finished, a massive shadow appeared and the same deadly bear attacked her so brutally that her cries reached the sheriff, confirming the threat was real. The sheriff couldn't understand what had happened to his female officer, but that massive bear had thrown her into the car and killed her. The sheriff was terrified, so he immediately contacted Beckett to check the site himself. The senior sheriff told Beckett everything, that there might be a dangerous bear near him, one that could have attacked their officer. Hearing this, Beckett and Kelly grew instantly alert and hurried toward Michelle's location. Deep in the forest, Robin and Michelle were still trying to figure out how to get out. They decided to set up camp in one spot since wandering around the forest meant inviting death. Meanwhile, the senior officer informed his colleague that a man named John was also missing in that same area and had to be found. It turned out the senior sheriff had secretly sent a man named Duck to kill the bear, along with the 2 men who'd been cutting trees earlier, all without informing the authorities. He'd done this to prevent public panic or chaos. While traveling, Beckett and Kelly reached a spot where they found a diary. It belonged to Michelle, and a cage marked with Robin's name. That's when Beckett and Kelly realized Robin must be with Michelle, and they needed to find them quickly. They began tracking directions, using nature's signs just like anyone lost in the forest should. The best way to trace people in the wild is to study the plants and trees. When people move through dense vegetation, branches bend in the direction of movement, so to follow someone, you go the opposite way of the bent leaves. Animal paths differ, they leave marks close to the ground, while human passage creates gaps about 2 feet above it. The second technique is checking footprints on the ground, an age-old method of tracking someone. Combining both methods can help locate anyone lost. And if that fails, climb a tall tree. From the top, you can see movement and get a sense of what's happening across the forest. Using these techniques, Beckett and Kelly finally reached Robin and Michelle. Beckett was overjoyed to see his wife safe and hugged her tightly. He thanked Robin for saving her life. Robin, however, looked startled when he saw Kelly. The 2 exchanged glances, clearly recognizing each other. While Robin stood watching the forest from a high point, the same place their father used to bring them, Beckett warned that going farther into that maze-like forest would mean getting lost forever. Even animals couldn't escape that area. Night fell, so they lit a fire, but Robin insisted he couldn't stay and had to leave. Beckett tried to reason with him, saying it was too dangerous at night and that he should wait until morning and then leave with the women. Beckett's plan for the next day was to capture the dangerous bear and sedate it, but Robin refused to wait. The brothers' conversation turned heated, and soon they were arguing and fighting. In anger, Robin shouted that he was there to rescue a man named John, his close friend who had always stood by him. When John's wife asked for help, Robin couldn't refuse, even though she could have gone to Beckett. But she knew her husband hunted illegally and feared Beckett would arrest him instead of saving him. When Beckett learned the truth, he felt proud of his brother for risking everything to help someone else. When Robin tried to leave again, Beckett stopped him, begging him to stay the night. Finally, Robin agreed. They all sat together, discussing how they could survive, and what to do if that monstrous bear attacked again. Beckett and Kelly had a tracking device that monitored the satellite collars placed on the local bears. What they saw on the screen terrified them. The other bears were fleeing in every direction, clearly terrified of one single bear. That meant this one was no ordinary creature. It was stronger, faster, and more dangerous than any other in its species. Before sleeping, they decided one person would stand guard while the others rested in shifts. When it was Robin's turn to keep watch, he sat quietly near the fire. Kelly soon came to talk to him. She began opening up emotionally, telling him how she had once devoted her entire life to him, before he vanished without a word, leaving her alone and heartbroken. It became clear the two had a romantic past. After the conversation, Kelly went to her tent, but Robin, instead of guarding, went to lie beside her. They looked at each other tenderly, lost in the moment. Suddenly, in the next instant, Kelly was yanked violently backward. A massive bear had snatched her and was about to kill her. Her screams echoed through the camp as Robin, Beckett, and Michelle rushed forward, firing their guns at the beast. The thunderous gunfire scared the bear away, and it vanished into the darkness. Beckett had a clear shot to kill it, but in that crucial moment, he hesitated and lowered his rifle. Somehow, they made it through the night and continued moving at dawn. Robin, furious, argued with Beckett. "You had the chance to end it, why didn't you take the shot?" Beckett refused to explain, saying he had his own reasons. Instead, he scolded Robin for neglecting his watch. "If you'd been paying attention, this wouldn't have happened." As they kept moving, Michelle suddenly slipped and fell onto a pile of rotting flesh. The ground was littered with torn animal carcasses. They had reached a part of the forest where predators devoured each other. Dead bodies of different species lay scattered around them, the air thick with decay. Realizing they were now completely lost, the group decided to head deeper into the densest part of the forest, believing that on the other side there was a river, and if they could reach it, they might escape. Beckett managed to radio the senior officer, telling him to take a boat to that river point for extraction. The officer agreed and set out with a partner. As they traveled, they heard the sound of gunfire. Following it, they found Duck, the man sent earlier to hunt the bear. He had just killed a smaller bear. Beckett was furious and nearly attacked him, but Duck quickly handed him the collar from the dead bear's neck and told him to check the footage from the attached camera. When they reviewed the footage, the truth hit them hard. The smaller bear had been brutally killed by the massive, rogue bear. That meant the killer bear wasn't just targeting humans anymore, it was turning on its own kind. After seeing the footage, Beckett's anger toward Duck faded. The situation was far more terrifying than anyone had realized. That meant Duck hadn't killed the bear, and now it was clear that the giant beast had to be stopped, or it would wipe out every living creature in its path. After gathering all the information, Beckett and his group set out toward the river. Duck stayed behind, saying he still had work to do. As the others traveled through the forest, they soon heard the chilling sound again. The massive bear was following them. Fear swept through the group as they began to run for their lives. In the chaos, Kelly lost her footing and tumbled down a steep slope. Her leg was impaled on a sharp wooden branch, trapping her painfully. Robin and the others rushed to her aid, managing to free her just in time before the bear could reach them. Kelly's leg was badly injured, and she had to be carried, slowing them down significantly. No one knew if they'd make it through the forest to reach the river. After some time, they spotted an old cabin and decided to check it for supplies or shelter. But when they went inside, they were horrified. Several dead bears lay scattered around, along with 2 human bodies mutilated beyond recognition. The gruesome sight made it clear, staying there meant certain death. They hurried out, but then noticed something hanging high in the trees. It wasn't an animal, it was John's dead body. Everyone stood frozen. Robin, who had been closest to John, was devastated. The shock hit him harder than anyone else. He could already imagine what John's wife would feel when she found out. Moments later, Duck arrived at the scene. Upon inspecting John's wounds, he realized the truth: John hadn't been killed by the bear but shot by a gun. Duck suspected the two other hunters, the ones who didn't want John to escape the area. Duck also revealed another dark secret: the senior sheriff himself had hired those men to kill bears illegally. When Beckett heard this, he was stunned. His own superior officer, involved in such a crime, it was hard to believe. But there was no time to process the betrayal. The bear could appear at any moment. Kelly's condition was worsening, and the group had to carry her. As night fell, they decided to camp there. They tended to Kelly's injuries as best they could, knowing infection was a serious risk. Inside the tent, Kelly quietly asked Robin the question that had been haunting her: "Did you really kill someone?" Robin finally told the truth. A while back, when his mother was gravely ill, he had gone to John for help. But John forced him into doing something illegal. Desperate to save his mother, Robin agreed. He never meant to kill anyone, but when another man's life was in danger, Robin turned his weapon on the real criminal and shot him instead. He had killed only to save someone else's life. Robin couldn't prove his innocence, and Bucket overheard everything, realizing his brother was never guilty. They reconciled and promised to make it out alive together. Soon after, they found Duck's torn-up body, killed by the bear. To save everyone, Robin decided to distract the beast by covering himself in blood while Bucket helped Michelle and Kelly escape. Robin fought bravely. The massive, bloodthirsty bear charged toward Robin. Holding his gun tightly, Robin fired round after round, but even as multiple bullets tore into the creature, they barely made a difference. The beast was too large, too powerful, those tiny bullets couldn't slow it down. Some shots even ricocheted off nearby trees, completely useless. Soon, the fight turned into a desperate chase through the dense forest. It was unclear who would survive, Robin or the raging animal, but one thing was certain: Robin wasn't the type to back down from fear. While running, he stumbled and fell hard, injuring his leg. For a moment, it looked like the bear would end him with a single deadly swipe. But clutching the knife in his hand, Robin slashed wildly, striking the bear multiple times before escaping. Spotting a river up ahead, he didn't hesitate, he leapt straight into the cold rushing water. The bear couldn't follow him down the steep bank, and just a short distance away, Robin could see Bucket and the others. When they shouted his name, the bear turned its attention toward them, realizing they were close. Bucket, carrying Kelly, rushed into the forest with Mitchell, but the thick trees soon separated them. Mitchell had no idea that the bear was silently creeping up right behind her. With a sudden, deafening roar, it lunged, but before it could strike, Bucket appeared and started firing non-stop. None of his bullets hit, but it was enough to push the bear back. Then Duck arrived, badly wounded but still alive, and joined the fight. Unfortunately, his ammo ran out almost instantly. In the next second, the bear charged straight at him, knocking him to the ground and tearing into him. Duck's fight was over. Seizing the moment, the others made a break for it. Bucket, Mitchell, and Kelly fought their way to the riverbank, where they spotted a police officer waiting nearby. They quickly jumped into a small boat and rowed to the shore. But once they reached safety, Bucket turned on the senior officer, furious for dragging them into such a nightmare. The officer simply said he had no money left, that he was about to retire, and needed something for his security. Their argument escalated, until suddenly, the same monstrous bear came crashing through the trees, attacking from behind. It slashed the officer with its claws while Bucket, along with the two women, pushed the boat back out into the water, desperate to escape once more. Later, it became clear that Robin had made it through the chaos safely, giving Bucket and the others a glimmer of hope. Seizing the moment, Bucket and Robin quickly hatched a daring plan to trap the massive bear once and for all. They spread fuel around the area and set it ablaze, creating a fiery cage that ensnared the enormous beast. For a brief moment, it seemed like their nightmare might finally be over, and the rest of the group hurriedly climbed into the boat, paddling desperately toward safety. But the bear, fueled by rage and pain, wasn't defeated so easily. With a terrifying roar, it broke free from the flames and overturned the boat, lunging straight at Kelly with lethal intent. Robin acted instantly, slashing at the bear repeatedly with his knife while Bucket, struggling to hold it back from behind, tried to protect the others. The fight was brutal, leaving everyone battered and bloodied. Their bodies bore multiple wounds from the claws, bites, and chaos. Yet, Robin's determination paid off. He plunged his sharp knife deep into the bear's throat. The creature thrashed violently, roaring in agony, before finally collapsing lifelessly to the ground. Exhausted and trembling, the survivors took deep, shaky breaths, their adrenaline slowly ebbing. Looking at the fallen bear, they realized it wasn't purely its fault. It had been driven to madness after hunters had wiped out its entire family, leaving this female bear alone and enraged. The horrifying ordeal ended here, leaving a harsh but important lesson: if humans want to avoid suffering, they must not destroy the families of wild animals. Wounded, exhausted, but alive, the group had survived one of the most terrifying experiences of their lives. This is how our story ends here.